thank all of our many, oh, excuse me. We have to thank all of our many partners, including Fisheries and Oceans Canada, Council of the Haida Nation, New Channels Tribal Council, and Ocean Networks Canada.
And this expedition exploring and documenting the diversity of these deep sea ecosystems is an endorsed activity of the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. And Challenger 150 is a global cooperative focused on deep sea biological research, formally endorsed as an Ocean Decade program.
Some of the goals of this very exciting expedition include mapping and naming uncharted areas, exploring life on newly discovered seamounts, searching for cold seeps and their chemostatic communities. That is one of my favorite power words. I wish I got it in Scrabble a little more often. Confirming the existence and community type of little-known hydrothermal vent fields, documenting oceanography all around the deep sea ecosystems, documenting marine mammals, seabirds, and other species, as of course this, science, outreach, communication, and engagement. So again, thank you very much for everybody who has joined us this evening.
Owing to the region's uniquely small, active, and near-shore tectonic plates, there is an impressive concentration of seamounts, hydrothermal vents, and cold seeps that are globally rare biodiversity hotspots. So these amazing places that house a lot of really interesting life and species. And while the main goal is conservation through protection and recovery, the expedition partners recognize the importance of their research in ensuring healthy oceans for all. The science co-created by Fisheries and Oceans Canada, the Council of the Haida Nation, New Channels Tribal Council, and Ocean Networks Canada will contribute to a better understanding of these remarkable and fragile ecosystems.
Awesome. So now we are going to connect with our onboard ship experts. We have Tammy Norgard and Sixgill Jada. Let's see here. I can see them. Let's see if we can connect with them. Oh, sorry, a little housekeeping first.
So yeah, once again, just you'll notice on the bottom of the screen in the Zoom portal, you'll see the chat, the raise hand option, and the Q&A. So if you click on Q&A, you can type your questions in there, and we'll either have them answered live for you, or we'll have them written as responses. So yeah, let's try to use the Q&A, and we'll keep the questions coming.
Alrighty, so let us connect with our ship-based friends. How you doing over there? I can see you waving. Let's cut to them. And got some sound.
Hello.
Awesome, there you are. So you folks are really out at sea.
Yeah, we're finally underway. Hopefully you don't hear the noise in the background. I'll start by introducing myself. Sangit la dalang wadluan, Sixgill Jada hinudi kyang, hade wadluan ne slau slangulang. So good day, everybody. My name's Sixgill Jada. I work for the Council of the Haida Nation. And I'm really excited to be here and to be on our way north right now. And I'll pass it off to Shrees to introduce herself and introduce some of the science.
Thanks, Sixgill Jada. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Shrees Dupree, and I am one of the research scientists on board the ship. I am the head of the Deep Sea Ecology Program, and our mission on this expedition is really one of exploration. So as our kind host already generously offered, this is a voyage offshore of mainland. We're going off Vancouver Island, off Haida Gwaii, and in a realm where the average person might think, whales frolic and seabirds fly, we're actually diving deep below the waves to the hidden gems of our ocean. So we're going to go to seamounts, which are underwater volcanic mountains. We're going to go to hydrothermal vents, which are hot springs that support life found nowhere else on this planet. And then if we just have enough time at the end, we're gonna swing by some cold seeps and we're gonna investigate the animals there that again are endemic and found nowhere else on the planet, but in these deep sea habitats. So everybody on board the ship is really excited because for a myriad of reasons that the general public will surely understand. We have been delayed, but we've kept our spirits high, and we actually just cast off the docks about maybe 10 minutes ago, and we've just started sailing out to sea. So we're pointing the ship up north, and we're going to turn on the engines, and we're going to go full blast as far up north as the border of Alaska to Scon, Kingless, Bowie seamount. So we're all really excited. And what we have for you now is we have team members in their different science stations. And so we're going to go on a little walkabout, and you're going to meet some of the other team members, learn a little bit about their science and how it fits into the bigger picture. So we got Tammy outside with the camera, and I think we're starting with Chelsea.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chelsea Stanley. I'm a technician with Fisheries and Oceans Canada, and I'm the oceanographic lead on our survey. So, as Cherise mentioned, there's a bunch of different things that are our objectives during a survey. Oceanography is one of them. It's really important for us to understand the water that surrounds and sits above the seamounts, because that directly impacts the communities that live on top of the seamounts themselves. So our main tool for collecting this data is this rosette. So we have a couple different features on this rosette. There is a CTP unit on the bottom. This electronically measures dissolved oxygen, temperature, salinity, pH, and fluorescence. And then we have these 24 10-liter bottles, which can be fired or closed at any depth. So I can send this down to 2,000 meters. I can close this bottle, and then when I bring it back up, the water in here is from 2,000 meters at the bottom. We then bring the water out, put it into different vessels, and then we can make sure that all of the readings that are coming from the electronic unit are correct. So we sample for dissolved oxygen, nutrients, salinity. We look for DNA of the creatures that might be around in the water. And so these two together will give us a full idea of the different chemical properties of the water surrounding the seamounts.
And we're walking over to the next station aboard the very large John P. Tully. It's about 5 levels, and we have 40 crew members, 50 in science and 25 crew. So it's a very big vessel. Hopefully you don't hear the echo.
Hey, hello. I'm a biologist with the Fisheries and Oceans Department. I'm be running the taxonomy lab here, so whenever we get a chance to sample some of the critters that we see in the video, whether it's corals, sponges, sea stars, that kind of thing, they'll all come back here to get processed, hopefully identified, photographed, and then we'll sort them all and preserve them so that we can study them later. And the cool thing is, every time we go this deep, it's so rare, so hard to get to, we're almost guaranteed to find something that's never been seen before, so we could be looking at new species on this trip. Hi, everybody. My name is Georgie Clyde, and I'm a physical scientist with Fisheries and Oceans Canada. And my job on board will be to work with some of the data that comes off with our ROV. And one of the main things that I'll be doing is taking images, and we stitch them together to build 3D models, which I'll show you in a second. And we use these models to visualize in large areas at the same time, which is something we're not going to be able to do, mostly for outreach and communication. And we'll also be using them to monitor some of these long-term monitoring sites that we're going to revisit. Here. This is a 3D model from 2018, where we reconstructed one of our first monitoring sites that we were able to establish. You can see we have sponges, corals, some fish in here as well. And yeah, we're hoping to revisit sites, establish new sites, and build more models like this.
Okay, so now we're leaving the lab and we're going out onto the aft deck where all the action happens, where we launch all of our equipment. So we'll get a bit of a lowdown, I believe from Chelsea, on the multi-beam.
Or maybe Reese.
Oh, maybe it's Reese, our multi-beam expert.
Yeah, I'm Reese, and this is the multi-beam system here. You caught us at an action-packed moment. The head's about to go off the side there. So since it's involved with our sea floor exploration, sea floor and sea chart the depths that are down there. It works like a big bat essentially. It shoots a sound ping and listens for the return. Because we know the speed of sound in water, we're able to know how deep the seafloor is below us. And it does this with a couple hundred things spread out in different directions. So as we're going along, it sort of looks like we're using the seafloor with data, so to say. And that's how we get data, depth data called soundings, and it's where we're going to locate some new seamounts and better, more accurately chart existing seamounts and other exciting things at the
Okay, so now we're moving again over to Daniel to tell us more about oceanography, specifically about zooplankton, which is my personal favorite. Tiny, tiny creatures. Yeah, and you'll also see the ROV, which we'll be talking about right afterwards.
Hi, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. My name is Daniel LeBay, and I'm a grad student from the University of Victoria. So what I have here is one of our Bongo Nets. This is what we use to study all the zooplankton, which are all the little animals that float around in the water. So what we do with this is we'll drag it through the water column. Generally, we'll lower it down to about 250 meters depth, and then pull it back up to the surface. And from there, all the critters and all the little animals floating around will get funneled down this net, funneled into these cod ends, and then we can collect them once they come back up to deck. We can take them to do a bunch of different analysis. Generally, we have two different cod ends and two different nets. So one side will be able to go into preservative to be able to identify different species or different characteristics like that of the zooplankton. And then the other side will be frozen, and that will go and we will determine biomass or lipids or some other analysis with them.
Hi everyone, my name is Tammy Norgard, and I am one of the leads on this survey. And I'm the program head for the Integrated Marine Conservation Program. And on this survey, I'm helping coordinate all the different science that you are seeing on board. And of course, this is one of our major scientific tools. Yes, it's our ROV. The ROV is a remotely operated vehicle. I'm going to take you a tour of this amazing tool. So, Odysseus can go down to 4,000 meters. Probably would take it to around 3,000 meters on this trip. That's pretty cool. A device that's just similar to what Chelsea showed you earlier. This is our CTD, so it tells us the temperature, salinity, and oxygen in the water. We're gonna go around here. I like to say all these machines have a guts and a brains. This is the guts. This is where all the power comes to this machine. Comes through the cable that comes all the way down into the power. Then we have the brains of the machine, which I'll show you in a minute. And then we have sampling tools. So here's one of our sampling tools. This green tube is our suction sampler. And it sucks in, we sample things, well, the ocean sucks into some chambers down there at the very bottom. Those are our chambers. I'm taking you around to the front of the ROV, where you will see the arms. So this is what makes a remotely operated vehicle amazing down there in the deep sea, because we can collect samples. And collecting samples is a huge part of helping us understand what we've seen on the video. And so we have each one of these arms have some different manipulators. This one is holding one of our markers. We're planning on leaving these on the ocean to mark sites that will come back again over the next many years to visit the sites and see if there's any change. these different compartments while we're down there. But of course, when you're watching the live stream, you will be looking at the cameras. And so the camera that you'll be seeing, if you watch in the link, get the link to it, is this main camera here. This is the Zeus. And below the Zeus are these two, and these are lasers. So you'll see two little green dots, and these green dots are showing us how, are 10 centimeters apart. So to give us an idea of scale of how big an animal is down there. There's also another camera. This is fancy one we've added for this survey. It's a downward facing camera. It's called the Rayfin. It's got a great name. And it's going to help us measure out the mosaics. If you visited Georgia already, she showed you a 3D model we have of the area. And that is our Rayfin. What else can I show you on this guy? Oh, the brains. I think the brains of this one is really fun looking. This guy right here is the brains. This is where everything kind of the computer programming in there goes there and sends up all the images to the ship and all the data that we need. And I think that is it. Now I can show you one more thing that's important. So how does this ROV communicate with the rest of the deep sea? So when it's down there, it's sending up beacons, sending these messages to help navigate. And I'm going to you're going to zoom up inside the ship, and you're going to see the bottom of this red thing over here. And that is the pole. We have that pole facing down, and it helps us on the ship navigate. It helps the ROV find us our location for the ROV while we're down there. So the ROV's on the bottom. How do we drive it, control it, communicate with it? We have an entire control band. So in the control band, you'll get to see all the different monitors and lenses that explain it to you.
Hi everyone, I'm Clark. I'm a student at the University of Victoria, and I'm here in the control room where our friends from Pelagic Research Services control Odysseus well below us, sometimes up to 4 kilometers deep. And they do so using all these screens behind me that show different views of the amazing robot thousands of meters below us. In the lab, there's more buttons, and that's kind of where I am. I'm annotating all the footage we're collecting of the seafloor using Odysseus, and I'm hitting all these buttons to note what amazing animals we're encountering and different human impacts down there, such as trash like pop cans and also discarded ghost gear, lost fishing gear. And yeah, that's all.
All righty. I think we're going back to the inside of the ship there where we've got Charisse and Skiljada. Can you hear us, folks? Awesome. I can see you're still muted though. Awesome. Here we go.
Thanks, Monica.
Yeah, that was a great tour. Every time I get so excited by all the cool things that you are seeing and doing and exploring. And, maybe that's a great way to kick off our first couple of questions for you. And again, reminder to everybody watching that you can just throw those in the Q&A and we will we'll feed them to our guests, our presenters and see what we can get. So I guess my first question for you is, which of those technological devices are you the most excited about? Which one do you think is going to give you the best data?
Okay. Tough question. All of it. I'm excited about the ROV because it's the most cool and exciting, and it is also really valuable data to be able to see the animals and to know what depths they're at and which locations they're at. It's really fun that anyone at home can follow along and see cool critters and message us in real time using the website link. We really don't know what we're going to find, like Merlin was saying. Like, So I want to be excited about specific animals, but I'm also really excited about the unknown with the ROV fancy cameras. Okay, one sec.
So just a quick note there. Oh, just a quick note that you folks are doing that because it is to be safe. So the mask on and off is just a great nod to how much you take care of each other out at sea there and how much of a team you are. Because of course, we've all learned over the last couple of years, nobody wants anybody else's germs.
Yep. Yeah, and on in terms of favorite equipment, I'm just representing a bit of a different view. I might be a little biased, but I think the Bongo Nets and the Rosette are probably some of the most exciting parts for me because with the bongos, when you pull up all these little critters, you can look at them under the microscope. Some of them look so alien and some of them look so interesting, and they've all just been floating around in the water column where most people don't even realize that they're there and they don't even think about it. So it's a bit of a mystery seeing what's there, and yeah.
Okay, well, with all due respect, they're both wrong. So I'm gonna throw them under the bus a little bit. Poor Daniel is looking at these tiny things under the microscope. And okay, Skilljat is a little bit bigger because she's got like a flashlight swath on the seafloor. And okay, maybe they discover some new animals. But for the first time off the west coast of Canada, we have connected a multi-beam echo sounder to the telly. And we're all trying to do something that's never been done before. And that's go offshore with one of these Canadian Coast Guard vessels and map the deep sea. And we're going to be looking at mountains and not copepods so much. We're going to be mapping a world that is uncharted. To date, in the last 4 years, we've discovered 47 seamounts. So that's Mount Baker sized mountains. These are huge volcanoes that were just hidden under the depths of the ocean. And with this multi-beam bathymetry, this echo sounder, we can map that world. You know, they say we know more about the surface of the moon than we do our own oceans. And so on this expedition, we have the ambitious mission to look at the world in that way. Not from the tiny, you know, to the life size, to the like bigger than life. Let's map a whole new, you know, ecosystem and world down there. Challenge put out for the rest of them. I feel like this might be a 1 week thing. Oh, I'm gonna get schooled.
All right, I like to say that it's the cameras and all the gear because then that's how all of you get to be involved and see what we're doing, and we get to tell and share everything with the world, which makes everything even more rewarding, and everyone can get a little bit of learning and all that. So I mean, not because it's what I operate, but but I think it's a really great new tool that a lot more organizations are using, all this outreach and being able to share everything we do with everyone. So please keep joining us, and yeah, watch the live stream.
I'm sure glad I don't have to pick sides. I'm safely on shore, and you guys have about 10 days, 2 weeks to duke it out on what's the best piece of equipment. So I'm safely back here.
I mean, I lift weights.
That does help. That does help. And it actually, you know what? Here it goes right into our next question that is actually, maybe you could tell us, maybe it's part of this. Do you take any fun bets between the scientists? Like what animal you will see first, maybe who can do the most number of push-ups, what's going to be on the ROV camera?
Oh, I mean, we bay dives, and we did do a little mosaic, a little video survey, and we had a little prices right action type going on where we had a list of animals we were looking for, and we bet which one we would see first and at what depth. And so it got a little competitive. I think we were calling out cheaters. And it makes it fun as well, and we hope it, like anyone watching it, also helps engage in, you know, it's a good way to learn the different things and really kind of a fun way to let the different depths of animals, particular animals, really sink in. Yeah. Someone else?
felt like I needed to defend myself. I didn't cheat. It was just Price is Right rules. So I just kept betting 1 meter. That put me in the safe spot to get it. But it was a lot of fun. And that was when we were on shore and we were a bit delayed. So we were trying to do the best science we could. And so we collaborated with some nearby scientists, and we repeated. So we added to time series by looking at the sea floor in this area where the oxygen changes dramatically. And with the oxygen changing, we see a shift in the animal community. And so we knew what animals we were looking for. We didn't know what depth they were going to be at. And so we made it into a really fun game. And, you know, speaking about games and throwing down, about lifting weights, we have fun activities on the ship too. Other than our science, there's everything. It's a floating city. We have a gym, and we even have a ping pong table. And I'm really looking forward to the kind of bets and throwdowns that go around trying to play ping pong when you're out at sea and the ship is doing something like that. So we'll be sure to be sharing that on social media.
Excellent. Might be a little bit like golf pong. You'll have to have a handicap, you know, like someone to hold you up or something. Awesome. And just a friendly reminder, this is a real live broadcast with folks at sea. So we do appreciate any patience with a little bit of a breakup or a delay there, but we'll do our best to make sure that it's nice and clean for you. But I promise this isn't something we've all orchestrated creatively. You guys are really going out there, which is great.
Awesome. Well, speaking a little bit about life on the boat, maybe you could tell us more of the expedition plan. How long will you be out at sea for, and where are you planning to go exactly?
Right. So we will be out at sea until the 27th of June. I actually have no idea what day it is today, but that's what happens when you go out to sea. So we've got a fair bit of time, and what we're going to try to accomplish is very ambitious. We're leaving the south side of Vancouver Island, and we're going all the way up north to the border of British Columbia and Alaska. We're going offshore of Haida Gwaii to seamounts in there in the traditional borders of the Haida Nation, and that's where we're going to start. And then we're going to work our way south. So we're going to track a lot of different seamount chains, so these mountain ranges that are hidden under the Vancouver Island. We're going to diversify those dives. So we're going to change it up from doing some seamount dives. We're going to go to hydrothermal vents, where superheated water is coming up from the seafloor, and it's creating a community of life that is found nowhere else on the planet. So the hydrothermal vents are a very exciting, very dynamic place. Those will also be some of our deepest dives at about 2.5 kilometers down. And then as we come up the continental slope, coming closer to shore, we're going to start exploring cold seeps a little closer from the seafloor, and again supporting a community very unique to that area. So that's the plan. Head north and then mosey on south, stopping at all the
Awesome. Thank you, Cherise. Wow, that is quite the expedition. And the map says that you're headed to a few marine protected areas. Could you tell us, or someone on board tell us, what exactly those are and why they're so important?
Yeah, well, actually, I'll call on maybe Skill Jada to talk about Skan Kinglas Bowie Seamount MPA.
Okay, so Saan Kinklis is a really special MPA that's co-managed by DFO and the Council of the Haida Nation. It's been co-managed since 2008 or so, I believe. It's a really culturally sacred site to the Haida people, and it's also ecologically biodiverse and amazing, and it really needs protection. It was previously fished, and all bottom contact fishing was banned in 2018. And so we want to kind of monitor the recovery and make sure the corals and sponges are healthy in this area. And as well as that special marine protected area, we're also going to be exploring potential marine protected areas known as areas of interest. in the offshore, kind of in that southern half of BC's waters in New Charlotte territory and a little south bit of Haida territory. And as well as the West Coast offshore sites of Haida Gwaii, those are also identified as areas that are really important to protect due to their cultural and ecological significance. So more marine protected areas are on the way because conserving our oceans is just really, really, really important for people and the animals and the ocean health and the health of our planet.
That's a very impassioned, and I completely agree with you. And maybe it's a great segue. What are you most excited to see when you do get out there? And actually, I'm going to throw this question in. It's a two-parter. It's how fast is the boat going, and will you travel through the night? So will you be able to be excited all night, or do you have to stop and sleep?
We are going to sleep. We're traveling for 2 days, I think it is, because Sa'ankinklis is far offshore and it's very far north from Victoria. So we do have a long drive. We're driving through the night. And that's also the site that I'm most excited about is Sa'ankinklis. It's a really, really powerful place. It's the site of a supernatural being, and the kind of animals that we're going to see there are they're just going to be mind-blowing. Like, there's such a diversity of ecosystems because it's a really shallow seamount. The most shallow in the Pacific. It's 24 meters from the surface. It used to be an island about 10,000 years ago. And there's stories of Haida people visiting that island. And so you have kelp and a lot of nearshore animals. And then the further you go down, it goes down to 3,000 meters. You get all of those weird alien looking creatures. So I'm unbelievably excited.
Say the site of a supernatural being. Could you share a little bit more about that with us, please?
Yeah. There's oral history that supernatural beings have made a home in these really special spots. So culturally significant areas, like North Beach, Rose Spit is an important area. There's lots of important areas around Haida Gwaii, and this is an important offshore area. So it's kind of rare in that way. It's also kind of known as the Great One in the Sea, as well as Sa'ankinklis. Sa'ankinklis means supernatural being looking outward. And so, yeah, it's a little hard to explain supernatural beings, but it means that it's going to be very powerful when we're out there. We'll be able to feel it. Like if you've ever visited an ancient
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us. I got goosebumps just listening to you talk about it, and I, you know, I'm jealous, so jealous that you guys are going to be out there. That they'd like to see.
Absolutely.
Taking such good care of each other. It's adorable. Tammy, what's got you most excited?
Well, I don't know if many people out there know, but it was a challenge to get out here. So, and that means just leaving the dock. The logistics for putting this kind of survey together is large and far-reaching. There are many partners. There are many organizations. We've been working on this for months, and I am just so excited to be out here doing this work. And we have finally left the dock tonight, as I think you probably heard earlier. And that is, see, thanks, Monica's cheering too. So just to leave and put together this expedition is just amazing to me, and now be part of it. So, and I love going really, 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 really far offshore where I can't see land. So it's such an amazing place to be that I'm just excited about that as well. Anybody else? Any other questions right now, or should I pass this one off to another person? Oh no, you frozen on me?
I don't think we've frozen on you. I think you can hear us. There's a great question in the chat. I'm actually going to pass it to Kaylin because there's a word I don't recognize. Kaylin, do you want to take a stab at that word?
Sure. So the question is everyone a carnitarian on board?
Is everybody a what? Sorry?
A carnitarian.
Carnitarian?
We're expecting you to know
All
what
right.
that means.
All right, I'm throwing it into the Google. All righty. Maybe while we're waiting that, Kaylin, do you want to throw us another question?
Yeah.
Apparently we got to ask the
I don't do.
Alrighty.
We'll get
Kaylin's
back to
got
that
another
one.
question for you.
So I'm curious, you've all shared why you're excited and what you're excited about, and it is very interesting to hear, and even just sitting here, I'm jealous as well, and I'd like to be out there. So could you tell us maybe what interested students or interested scientists and marine lovers can do to have a job in this field, or sort of?
We have the answer to that question, and all of us have a slightly different but similar answer, and it is mostly just to follow your dreams. So if you are, there are so many fields in marine biology. I mean, I was 5 years old when I said I was going to be a marine biologist. And I was in third year university before I really figured out what kind of marine biologist I was going to be. And in my case, it's an invertebrate. So all the animals without backbones are the interesting ones for me. But it took me a long time to clue in that's the kind of marine biology. I just knew I loved the ocean. So I just kept moving in that direction. So that's how I did it. So follow what you really love in any career. And if you keep doing what you love, you'll move forward that way. So I'll pass off to Daniel. And Daniel will come tell you how he's gone to where what's. Here you go.
All right. So as I'm still a student, I'm still actually figuring this out myself, learning how to actually become a full-time marine biologist. But so far from what I can learn is I've gone through school generally not having the exact idea of what I wanted, but I would always take the next step more towards marine biology. That's where I kind of found my niche and what I was interested in. Also, I guess the one piece of advice that I would give would be to take on any opportunity that you get. A lot of the times I would see an opportunity in front of me and I would debate whether I should take it or not, and then I would end up taking it. And even if it was a risk or even if it was really challenging or scary, then it always worked out and it brought me here today. And I'm finally getting to go out into the open ocean where I've never been before. And I'm really excited. Yeah, maybe I'll pass it off to someone further along in their career.
Hello. I am indeed further along in my career, but I am not a biologist or marine biologist. So it's sort of an interesting journey for me to be here, coming from terrestrial side, and Daniel touched upon it, but I think just always saying yes to opportunities, staying connected, following along with, the work that we're doing. And it's been challenging over the last couple of years to do that. We haven't been able to be in person, but making connections, and just keeping that dialogue going. You never know what opportunities are going to come your way. You could be like me and you're out here in the middle of the ocean, helping support the biologist as a physical scientist. And that's an important note, that there's all sorts of supportive roles, people with technology, video, different backgrounds that help bring this work together. And it's amazing to be out here for me. And I think we have a few more who have their story to share. So I'm going to pass it over to our videographer. Yeah, tell us how you became a marine biologist, like me.
Okay. Okay, well, I am not a marine biologist, just to make that crystal clear. So I've been brought on board the Tully this trip for photography and filmmaking. So this is the third trip that I've done with DFO, and basically my role on board is to shoot all the science that's taking place, and kind of bridge the gap between obviously the science that's happening and the general public. So creating photos and videos and everything like that to share across social media platforms and stuff like that. And my sister happens to also be Charisse. So we're siblings. I've been doing this for about 4 or 5 years now. And it just worked out. All my work that I've done has always been kind of on boats and around the ocean, documenting wildlife and conservation efforts and science. And I'm lucky enough that once a year get to come out and shoot some science and spend some time with a bunch of brilliant people.
Fantastic.
Hi, I just wanted to throw something out there. For anyone that ends up going through college, university, I really recommend any sort of cooperative education program. So a lot of universities offer these programs where they will link you up with different organizations that are looking for short-term employees. And a lot of times it's a really good way to get your foot in your door. That's how I actually got my job with DFO. So if you are going into sciences and you're at a university that offers that, I highly recommend it.
Awesome advice. Thank you. And just while we're switching microphones here, I looked up the carnitarians. And so it's people who avoid eating fish. And so what I'm going to ask you instead, I'm going to throw this question at you. I'm wondering if you can tell us what your favorite sea creature is with or without a side of French fries.
Ooh. The halibut was really good last night.
With side of French fries. Awesome. What about without?
So, without fries would be salmon. I usually have those with vegetables.
And your favorite sea creature?
That's too hard of a question. I have different categories of my favorite sea creatures. You know, there's zooplankton versus the ones that live on the bottom versus the delicious ones. I'm particular to crab larvae because they look very alien-like. Yeah. But I just wanted to jump in on the last question. That's about like careers and all that. Because yeah, I was the same kind of thing of like kind of a meandering path. My job is marine biologist, but my education was in biological oceanography, which believe me, it is different. Oceanography is kind of more bigger picture on ocean currents, nutrients, chemicals in the water, that kind of thing. And while I was doing my master's, I was thinking about what kinds of jobs I wanted, and I was stuck in the office writing my thesis, and I saw that Jasaljus Yakjanas from the Council of Haida Nation, she came out on this expedition 4 years ago in 2018, and I was watching the live stream, and I was enamored with it, and I was so excited, and it kind of encouraged me to finish my master's so that I could get this opportunity down the line. And so it's pretty special that I'm able to do science and help my nation and see some really cool sights. Yeah.
That is really wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us. Maybe this is actually another great question. And again, please keep this question coming, or keep answering these questions if someone thinks of something and they haven't had a turn. What is the number one thing you'd like us to take away from tonight? What would you like us to tell our friends, email our relations, share with someone else so that maybe 2 years from now, they're where you are? Sorry, these are the hard-hitting questions this evening.
Yeah. Like in terms of advice, people wanting to get into these careers?
Anything you'd like to share with us that we should take away tonight?
Okay, yeah. I would just say the importance of ocean conservation. Like, it's important to protect these animals that are unknown and strange and cool and fascinating and play important roles within the ecosystem. Especially with the deep sea, a lot is unknown, and we have to protect what we don't know because we won't be able to explore these new things if they're dealing with the impacts of climate change and ghost gear, ocean acidification, all these things. And we rely on the ocean more than we realize, you know, whether or not we're fish eaters, we rely on the ocean for the air that we breathe. It helps regulate the temperature. It does a lot of ecosystem services for us. You know, we don't eat zooplankton, but the zooplankton are the foundation for the ocean, and the ocean is the foundation for the rest of Earth. So it's really, really important to protect these special places that are often not seen enough and not appreciated enough. Hopefully that'll change after this trip.
Thanks so much, Skiljada. Oh, we've got someone else to speak on that, I think, hey?
Oh no, you can go to the next question if you like.
Sounds good. It's sort of related. I'm wondering, so yes, the importance of protecting the oceans. How could you give an example of maybe how your studies and what you're seeing underneath the surface is then used to tackle those questions and to come up with solutions? And yeah, what are the steps from there?
I mean, we're doing so much research on this project that it's slightly comical, but going out to the deep sea is a rare occurrence. When we come out here, we try to accomplish as much as we can for as many partners as we can. So not just the West Coast, nations, but all of Canada. And so we're actually looking at so many different facets of it. I'll say that it's almost my one hope that people watching the video take away too, is we're going to be looking at the amazing biodiversity supported by these underwater volcanoes, the animals, everything from the shallow water creatures to the strange alien-like deep sea creatures that live in the abyss. We're going to be looking at the diversity at hydrothermal vents. We're going to be appreciating that these communities exist nowhere else on the planet. And so while everybody is watching the live stream and being enamored by the biodiversity and the amazingness of these animals, to just keep in mind that we're impacting these animals in ways that you can't even imagine. And unfortunately, seamounts and hydrothermal vents are right now being looked at as viable options for mining. So deep sea mining to extract metals from these environments that would go towards really like batteries for a greener future. So it's a choice that all of us are going to have to make very, very shortly. The batteries in our cell phone, the batteries in our cars, they're going to come at the expense of, some ecosystem. And now the new ecosystem being looked at to mine is the deep sea, and it's these seamounts and it's these hydrothermal vents. So fortunately, the ones that we're studying are in marine protected areas, but these represent seamounts that are also, and hydrothermal vents that are in the high seas and that are targeted for mining. And so the more that people learn about what's at risk, the more we can make educated decisions about is this okay? Is this the future that we want? And whatever the decision is, as long as it's informed, that's all we can ask for as scientists. So we hope that everybody watching gets to know these creatures, learns that connection that Skill Jado is talking about, that we're connected with the ocean, and then can make those informed decisions. And it'll come down to what we purchase and what we support our governments doing. And as long as then you can make that informed decision.
Excellent. Thanks, Charisse. I think that's a great message that our audience can take away tonight. Awesome. So again, a reminder, everyone, we've got just under 10 minutes left for your wonderful questions. Keep them coming. We've got a fun one here. Is there a Jane Goodall or LeBron of marine biology? And maybe a few of you have different opinions there, so feel free to share.
Let's get a lineup going, and we can all say who inspires us.
And it can't be anyone on board.
Okay. I'm going to say a local hero, but a world-renowned scientist, Dr. Verena Tunnicliffe, was my PhD supervisor, is just a rock star. And it's amazing that she's local, because she really started women in deep sea science, women on ships and in submersibles, and basically was the founder of most things that we know about our deep sea off our coast. Okay, so who's up next? Evan?
Okay, I know it's against the rules, and you already said nobody on this ship, but I feel like Charisse has to get a shout out here. And she's been truly an inspiration, and gave me my start in getting involved in this kind of work. And her energy, as you can tell, I'm sure from the live stream, is contagious, and she's just a phenomenal scientist, but also just so excited about everything she does. And I think in 50 years, we'll still be saying her name. So I just wanted to put that out there.
So someone that I think is, that you're all probably very familiar with, biology and oceanography, but also for just natural sciences as a whole, is David Attenborough. He has famous voice, that he's who I've heard is the spur of so many scientists starting their careers. And what really inspired them was watching these documentaries as children or as teenagers or as adults. And it's really inspired so many people that I think he can be thanked for almost all the people that are, he can be thanked for so many people following their dreams and becoming scientists. Anybody else?
Unfortunately, we can't say anyone on the boat because someone gives me marks here, but I guess I will go with another name that's kind of synonymous with ocean exploration, Jacques Cousteau. I mean, everyone knows his name. Developed scuba so we can go actually under the waves ourselves and see what's under. Yeah. Anyone else?
Hi, everyone. So I guess the question is, who inspires us? So there's a lot of deck operations going on. That's where I was outside, so I'm pretty excited. So who inspires me? Actually, it's my peers. So it's the people I work with and the people around me and my partners and everybody. It's their excitement of wanting to do this work and being here that actually inspires me to continue doing all these amazing things. And I'm just, the multi-beam is in the water right now. And this is a crazy endeavor we started that is happening. And I have to say, I'm kind of inspired by the fact it happened. And it took, I couldn't even list all the people and the many countries that were involved in trying to make this happen. So I'm inspired by the people around me.
So I've got the same, the people around me, my peers, people in my life rather than media figures. There are a few examples like James Cameron, I think is pretty cool. He went down in a submarine in the Marianas Trench or something. But like my fellow Indigenous scientists who I kind of came up with and I currently work with, there's a lot of Haida women who have marine biology degrees, like my boss, Nisi Gujau, Giselle Jusiak Janas, who I mentioned, Rain Boyko, Kilf Tunaway, Taylor Brown. Russ Jones is kind of like the Haida godfather of marine planning. He's been around the entire time, and that's more like the management side of the marine world, but that's a big part of my job as well. My supervisors and mentors at UBC really meant a lot to me in my education. So Evgeny Pakamov, Brian Hunt, Andrea Reed, they were all kind of instrumental in supporting me through and letting me know that I could do it, because it was kind of hard growing up and not having any role models in like the hard sciences. So yeah, also the people in my life.
Thank you. That's a wonderful answer. I will just pause 1 second here and ask Skiljada, I don't want to make a mistake spelling those people's names. Would you mind putting them in the chat? I've been listing all the other ones, but I would do them a disservice without that. So if you wouldn't mind listing those, because we'd love to learn more about these people that have inspired you. And certainly if I was on ship, I would also be, pointing in every direction at all these inspiring folks.
Absolutely. You can follow them on Twitter and Instagram if they're on there.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, let's keep going. Who else inspires us in the ocean?
I think we've cycled through everyone who's available. Again, we're at sea, and right now we're juggling, as Tammy alluded to, the excitement of right now accomplishing something that's never been accomplished on our coast before. We are using the Canadian Coast Guard tele to map the ocean floor. And as Tammy alluded to, a lot of people have been working on this. So it's quite amazing that we have a live stream going on right now. And if you could see the clamor that's happening, behind the camera and to the side, it's quite incredible. So everyone who's available has cycled through now.
Awesome. Well, that's actually a fantastic segue. It's almost like we planned it, because it is 8 o'clock. So recognizing that was our scheduled time, but also I think we could have a few more minutes of your time. Excellent. We could have a few more minutes, but if anybody needs to head off, we absolutely thank you very much for joining us. We're going to put the link to the website in the chat, so you can follow it and continue to ask questions there, and we really do encourage you to do that. As mentioned, myself, I'm at Ocean Networks Canada, and so if you think of something, you can always go to learning@oceannetworks.ca as well and fire us an email, and we will write back to you. Often writing back to you requires I get to go talk to a really cool scientist, so please don't be shy. Every time a question comes to me, I get to learn as well. And so maybe that's a great segue, Charisse. What was something that that really stuck out as a strong learning for you? Something that you really, I guess if it was a book, it would be, which book could you read again for the first time? What scientific aha do you wish you could have again for the first time?
I mean, honestly, what came to mind there was, it was sciencey, but it was science that was tangible.
Any answer is a good answer.
Blue Planets wins every day as like having influenced me as a youngster. You know, what that series did for bringing the ocean into everybody's home, and the ocean across the world, from, you know, the coastal waters to the polar regions to the deep sea. I mean, we're a generation of marine biologists that grew up on Blue Planet, and actually, as a childhood dream come true, I was able to help film and write for Blue Planet too. And I will say that so much science goes into creating those documentaries, yeah, so that's it, and it's tangible. You know, it's not just the science community, but it was the entire world that got to fall in love with the ocean through that. Yeah.
That is fantastic. Maybe another question for you is, I remember last year's dragonfish that made a cameo. What species are you hoping we find, or you find, this year? Are you hoping to see another one of those, or something totally new?
Well, actually, I'm a big fan of sharks, and so we've had cameos of a salmon shark on multiple expeditions. They've been at the surface. A shark that I really like is a prehistoric shark. It's called a Sixgill. It's a little bit dumpier and slower than your great white shark. It kind of cruises at the bottom of the ocean. It goes far distances, and it doesn't eat very often. But they're the shark that you see scavenging the sea floor when large animals die in the ocean and they sink to the bottom. That's what a Sixgill eats. So it's just this cool shark. It's really large. It can go long distances without eating. And to see one of those is like looking at a dinosaur, and they can be quite a few meters in size. So it's really impressive. And because they're slow, you can get them on film a lot. So it's always a thrill. I've seen one once with an ROV, and I would just love to see one again.
Very, very cool. Anyone else want to answer what their favorite creature they hope to encounter might be?
Favorite creature you hope to encounter? Something's going to come up in the net for Daniel.
Yeah, it might be a little disappointing, but it's not actually the creatures that are in the net that's the top of the list for me. But for me, again, it would probably have to be to do more with sharks. But this one, quite rare, and we probably won't end up seeing one, but it would be amazing to be able to see a basking shark at some point, swimming around in the surface waters. I've never actually seen any sharks in the wild, now that I think about it. So honestly, I think basking shark is top of the list, sharks right below that, and then anything that comes up in my net for the first time, I'll be excited. Yeah, anyone else? Here we go.
Okay, so the thing that I'm hoping that we see more of, there is this sponge that I call the tennis ball sponge. It's not the technical name. We don't actually know what it is, and I get to see it a lot when I watch the videos from the ROV and put together those models. And so I'm hoping that we see more of them, and maybe we can take some samples, and then our taxonomists can figure out what it is. But tennis ball sponge good proposed name, I think.
Well, for the last like 2 or so years of my life, I've been learning how to identify different corals and sponges from the ROV footage that we will be collecting. So I'm honestly just super excited to see any of them.
Okay. I have a few things that I want to see. Like I said, I'm excited to go to Untitled, and I just want to see rockfish, and shrimp are really basic and common, but I just really like shrimp. I think they're adorable. They're beady little eye stalks. But I'm excited to see rockfish because of the huge diversity of different species of rockfish, and they have all kinds of wild colors and patterns. And they also live a really long time. They can be over 100 years old, 150 years old. So yeah, I think they're really beautiful. Just whatever we find, I'm going to be excited about. What?
You know, it's really quite refreshing to hear people refer to those adorable little beady eyes. Actually, maybe this is a great question for you, or we can pass around. There was mention of all these new species. How do these new species get their names, and how do we go about naming things? Is there a path to naming things coming up?
There is. I'm not sure, so I'm going to pass it over to Merlin. We're calling you out.
So it depends on what it is that we're looking at. My area of expertise is corals and sponges, and it can take years, honestly, to accurately describe photographs. Sometimes you need detailed microscope images. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, it depends. There are different experts in all of the different groups that we'll be seeing. So if we don't have the expertise here, we reach out to colleagues sometimes across the world. Yeah, and then eventually, if we can decide that it's different enough, then we'll get to name it and publish on it.
That's pretty darn exciting to know that there's new species out there that you can write about and talk about and tell us about. So that's really, really quite neat. I guess as we continue again, there's opportunity for questions to come in. I see the numbers that we don't have people leaving. So again, please don't be shy if you still have some questions coming. I guess one question that I'm really curious about is once we write about these new species, what's a good way to go about protecting them? So, for example, Charisse had said making informed decisions, thinking about what we can do. What can the average person at home, like myself, do to help protect this really cool ocean that you're discovering?
Charisse?
Is that backwards? Can you guys read that?
We can discover the ocean, understand the planet. I believe I have a matching slogan. Looks good.
I mean, everything's about informed decisions, right? What's on your dinner plate? How is it fished? Is it one of those fisheries that takes care to not get bycatch, to not is it bottom contact? Bottom contact is a lot more detrimental than some other fisheries. Where your batteries come from. There's companies that are putting out that they will not buy certain metals. There's food categories of better ways to eat for our planet. So I think I'm repeating a little bit what I said, but I think it comes down to a lot of it is voting with your dollar, and it's the everyday purchases, reuse coffee cups, recycle, like all of it helps the ocean by just, every little bit. We don't just need marine scientists to, dedicate their lives to these types of things. What we need is everybody just to do a little bit more. And it's going to go a long way. So just keep that in mind, that it's times what are we, 8 billion now? And we all just need to make a little bit better decisions, keeping the ocean in mind. And again, a lot of that comes down to where you spend that dollar. That's how you vote for the future that you want.
Awesome. Thank you. I had a neat question come into the chat, just popped up for us. Do you notice a difference when you're doing your dives between nighttime and daytime in what you see? So do you see different things at night, and do you see things different during the day?
That is a great question. Thank you for who asked that. I think there's a few people chomping at the bit to answer that, but I'll take a shot at it. When you go past about 100 meters in our ocean, you get to an area that is just completely dark. So you would think that maybe it was in the absence of a daily rhythm, but that's not the case. There's animals that do a vertical migration. It's actually the largest migration on the planet. And they hide in the dark during the day, and they come up to the surface, the productive water, at night to feed in the safety of the darkness. And so all the way down to, I think it's about 800 meters in our water, you see this daily elevator. It is the largest movement of biomass on our planet, and it happens with the cycle of night and day, and it happens into the deep sea. And then that cascades down. So animals that are even deeper than that will, be attuned to that migration, and they'll come up and they'll have a snack at what their shallow water is, which is about 800. You also see the effects of tides, and tides are tied to the daily cycle. And so all the way down 2-3 kilometers at the hydrothermal vents, we see a difference in the activity of animals, and it's the very subtle change in the tides, and that's tied to days. So it's amazing how that effect of light and dark, day and night, actually plays out in a bunch of different ways, all the way down to the deep dark ocean.
Incredible. So they know that it's dark daytime and dark nighttime. They know the difference.
Oh, yeah. They know the difference between dark daytime and dark nighttime. I like that. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Is there anyone else who'd like to answer that question as well, you said?
Oh no, they say I stole their answer.
It's nice that when your science team agrees with you too. Yeah. All righty. Let's see. It looks like things are wrapping up, and we know that you folks have got one heck of an adventure ahead of you. So what I'll do is I'm going to ask, is there anything that you'd like to leave us with, some final words, and we'll wrap up and let you get on your adventure. We'll repost again that link to the website in the chat, and the link to our where you can connect with the ship as well. But any last words as you head north?
I think we're going to have a lot of local viewers. That's the nature of this, but I would leave people with appreciating that what happens off our Pacific coast is actually globally unique, and it's amazing that we have the opportunity to explore this. It's not everywhere in the world that this happens. It's not everywhere in the world that it's in a nation's or multi-nations water, and so this is not commonplace, and the exploration that we're doing really is something rare for the globe. So follow us on social media. Follow us on the live stream as we explore. You can explore in real time, and just leaving you with that impression that this is not commonplace research. This is a globally rare situation that we're in on the West Coast, and if you follow along, you can be part of that.
Oh. Well, I was going to say, she said it, of course, but I share widely. Please share this widely with your friends and family. We really, really want to get as many people excited and as interested in the deep sea as we are.
Yeah, we're just going to get everyone on screen so we can all say a proper goodbye.
That is one intelligent looking group. Let me tell you, there is a lot of brains on my screen right now.
Thank you so much for hosting.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. And a safe journey, many discoveries.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye. All right, and one more big thank you to our audience for joining us. We hope to see you at our upcoming events as well. And once again, we'd like to thank our partners. So Fisheries and Oceans Canada, Council of the Haida Nation, New Channels Tribal Council, and Ocean Networks Canada.